Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody here on YouTube. It's JJ again, once again here at JJ's PC Builds. Alright, family, friends, and new viewers. Just want to say welcome to all the new viewers that we got, new subscribers. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. Good to see you all here. Stick around, we got more for you. And the new viewers that want to become JJ PC Builds members, make sure you subscribe. That way you get all the latest updated videos that come out of right here, sunny side of California, on JJ's PC Builds. It would help us grow to get to the monetization part of YouTube. And this is a rigorous battle that we're going through. We still need 1,000 viewers, subscribers, and 4,000 watch hours. We're getting there slowly, but in time, I know we will get there. But hopefully before the end of the year, because I have a feeling that YouTube is going to roll the time over. So basically, all the watch hours that we built up to the end of the year, if we don't reach that 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 viewers to get monetized, they're going to roll it back over to zero. And then you got to wait whole nother year for it, before you get monetized. So we're trying to work vigorously to get monetized. And also, too, I want to apologize to everybody once again about not making consistent videos right now. I'm not making them consistent right now because personal problems I got going on, but I'm not going to bore you all with that. I'm just going to tell you that I'm getting myself better and healthy and trying to make these videos for you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the video. Alright, now, on the last video I made, Graphics Card Nightmares, I told y'all that we were going to take and explore the fact of the 7950 X3D, do some more follow-up with that, and I'm going to tell you all this. The 7950 X3D is not what it's claimed to be. Okay, I understand that AMD's coming out with that new product. People are having a hard time getting the 7900 X3D. Some people got their hands on the 7950 X3D, but here's the tall tale. Here's what you need to know. Okay, all in all, they say they give you more L3 cache. Okay, that's fine. You can give somebody more L3 cache, but what they're telling you that they're giving you more, but they're taking away from, is a whole different ballgame. Now, I still cannot see having a 16-core, 32-thread processor being cut in half. Okay? Cut in half in order to use it with your gaming. Okay? It's not that it's being taken away, but it's being parked. Why would you park 8 core 16 threads just to make a game run? Okay, now that's a very construed question. Instead of them saying, well, you know what, we took and we put more Vcache on one side of the field, but you forgot about the other side of the field. Or that they compiled one side of the field and then just made one chiplet for Vcache only, and went that way. Or they want to tell you about the latency, that, there's latency issues and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Okay, if you're going to take and turn off one chiplet and use one chiplet, that's basically like, you going into the BIOS and making an 8-core 16-thread processor and run off of one die that's got the extra cache. That's like the 7800X3D that's going to be coming out. That's not going to have that extra chiplet there. But, what are they going to be? 6-core 12 threads with extra L3 cache? It's going to be on one chiplet? 7800X3D? 6-core 12 threads? I mean, does it make sense? That's going to be the question. Does it make sense to you in April to get the 7800X3D more sense than paying all the prices of paying $700 for the 7950, or paying $600 for the 7900, or you're going to be paying $549 for the 7800. Does that make sense to you? I mean, just for the extra L3 cache, just to say in your mind that it's getting more FPS. I can tell you that X3D does not give you that much more FPS. And to run a game, you don't need that much FPS to run a game. Okay, don't base everything on the FPS. Base it on how the game plays. I know everybody wants to make their game look cinematic and everything else. But, me, I just play it at 1080p. That's it. I play my games at 1080p, and I'm happy with the amount of FPS. I don't need all that hackery of my video, making my monitor look better, and everything else. I don't need all that hackery. Okay, that's just extra money you're paying for nothing. Okay, now when you get like FSR3 or DLSS, 3, on Nvidia's side, which that brings another discussion we will be having here today about Nvidia. But this is about AMD right now. Okay, we're talking about the X3D chip that doesn't give you a good creator volume. Okay, it doesn't do much for creators. Okay, now the thing is with the integrated graphics on the X3D, you know what? I'm going to beg to differ, because they're not better than the 5600G or the 5700G. The 56 and the 5700G are the only iGPUs I've felt that are better than, what's being handed for the new Ryzen series, the 7000 series. For a reason I'm saying this is that the CUs are way lower than the CUs you get off of the 5000 series. Okay, the 5000 series, you get 7 to 8 CUs compared to the newer series that you get 2 CUs. Okay, you could say, oh yeah, I got 40 FPS off of those new integrated graphics off of those processors. Okay, go ahead, keep saying it. When I'm getting 60 to 100 FPS or better off of the 5600G, or the, it could say the 5700G, because they're almost similar in taste. I say that because they both are at 16 gigabytes of L3 cache. Both of them. They're almost identical. Almost identical. Okay? The only difference between this one and that one is this is 6 core 12 threads. That's 8 core 16 threads. There's a difference. There's only a 2 core difference. 2 core difference. I want you all to realize that. Okay? As far as the graphics, the response of, where it is, the GPU handling, in megahertz, they both run at 2300 megahertz. Okay? They both run at 2300 megahertz. Flat clock stock. They both run at 1600 megahertz memory. They both run at 1600 megahertz memory. They both have the same amount of dedicated RAM, and they both can go up to 8 gigabytes of dedicated RAM. This is on the 5600G and the 5700G. Okay. Now, the new ones can only go to 2100 megahertz. The only thing that's saving them right now is the clock speed off of the dedicated RAM. That's the only thing that's saving them, between 6,000 and 7,000 clock speeds. Okay? But the L3 cache is not what you think. That all that L3 cache is not being shared on the 7000 series. You're only getting the minimal L3 cache up on the integrated graphics. You're only getting 2 CUs. You're getting less than, I would say, in an average core, you're getting less than 500 to 400 cores. Because AMD makes all their integrated graphics with the same amount of cores. They never change. Unless they put on the integrated graphics, they put it up to like 2500 megahertz. And they allow you to go to 6,000 megahertz of dedicated RAM. And they allow you to get at least 96 megs of L3, unless then you're talking about between a 3050 and you're talking about between a 3050 and a 6750 on AMD's side. You can always ramp these up to 8 gigabytes of dedicated RAM cache, or dedicated RAM. Don't get the cache wrong. But the thing is those new processors are mainly running off of 16 megabytes of L3 cache. That's it. Shared. That's all they're sharing. They're not, and sharing means that it's getting basically barely anything. But I can tell you on the older series, the 5600G and the 5700G are a lot better, and they get a hell of a lot more FPS. Okay, and you can watch many reviews on the 5600G and how it games. Okay, people can say that it games really well. I mean, even if you turn it down to low, it still games. Okay? Now, that's the whole purpose of getting a processor to game. Me, I run OpenGL. Okay, these processors run great on OpenGL. I get between 200 and 300 FPS in the games I play. And y'all know it's Second Life. But I get between 200 and 300 FPS, OpenGL. I don't run DirectX. I don't like the DirectX thing. It's because DirectX kind of swallows you into a nightmare. That's something for another topic for another video. But I'm just going to tell you on a nutshell, DirectX is not what it used to be back then. Just going to tell you, back then, years ago, DirectX was phenomenal. And now, I can tell you it's not. I can tell you, these companies had 2 to 3 years to develop their stuff, okay? To develop this new product they put out to the consumers. It's like back then with the Apple, okay? There's many problems with it, okay? Back there with the Apple II, the Apple IIc, and so on. That's back in the days to where, I was there. Back in the days, I'll tell you, I was there. I've witnessed and seen a lot of that. Okay? But when it comes to computing and stuff like that, Apple had so many problems, with their software, with their engineering of the, samples of their processors and stuff like that. They relied on IBM to be their go-to, and stuff like that. Back then, years ago, IBM used to be a great company. And then Intel came along and swooped it all up and said, you know what, we're going to take and we're going to corner the CPU market. And they did for a long time. They cornered the CPU market. Until, AMD came along and said, you know what, we're going to get our hands in the game. But we're going to get our hands in the game even more. And then later on down the road, they put out their AMD processors and stuff. AMD was great in multimedia technology and stuff like that and blah, blah. It's going through a long earthly cycle. Okay. But the problem they both were having, and even Intel was having, as well as AMD, it was software compatibility issues. It just wasn't, believe it or not, it just wasn't AMD that was having software issues. Intel was having the same problems with their processors. Even on Windows 95, which I'm going to tell you, sucked. Running an Intel processor on Windows 95. I mean, sucked bad. Because it was non-stop crashing, driver incompatibilities and stuff. That's just with Intel. Okay, I put my hands in Intel, AMD, to see which one was the best, and I stuck with AMD. Because back then, years ago, AMD was rocking. To have a 4-core processor from AMD was rocking. Okay. To deal with the Intel processors from the 186 to the 286 to the 386 to the 486, they had the 286SX, the 286, they had the 286DX, and, Intel did. This is all Intel. And then you got AMD that come up with the AMD processor. They got many versions of the AMD processor. I'm not going to go through and bore you all with all the amount of processors back then. I can tell you this, there were many duds, there were many good ones with AMD as well as Intel. So don't get the misconception wrong. Okay, take it from somebody that's been here on this earth for half a century. Okay, my wisdom's coming to you. Okay, even though I got the crappiest camera in the world. Okay, I got the crappiest mic in the world. Y'all see this right here? This right here is a Logitech mic. Do I have one of those $200, $300 expensive mics? No. You know why I don't have it? because I'm doing this like the consumer would if they're just starting out on YouTube. Okay, I got a 720p camera, I got a cheap mic, total cost I got wrapped up into that was $200. So, but don't worry, later on down the road, we'll get to 4K. We're working our way to 4K, so you all just sit tight for that. We'll get the videos, making the videos better and stuff. I know they look like there's snow in the videos and stuff like that, but I'm just bringing, you along for, my start in the beginning to, what the end game's going to be. We're working towards the end game, and the end game's going to be a new beginning, so there's no end game at all. We're working our way towards greatness. Okay? These companies, these reviewers that first started out, they started out with the same thing that I'm starting out with right here. And they had a bunch of snow in their videos and stuff like that. Everybody's got, issues somewhere. Okay? But at least I can get out here to make a video for y'all so y'all can see what's going on. Just to let you know that. But getting back to the main story. Now we're going to take and move on, and we're going to move on to the next story. And this one is, make sure y'all stick around to the end, because, this is two stories that I'm doing for you today. But things could be changing in the future, just to keep that in mind. Okay, Nvidia, newest drivers. Nvidia has a bug problem in their drivers. Obviously, AMD is not the only one that has a problem. Looks like Nvidia's got a problem too. Looks like it's taking it and turning around, and when you boot up your computer, it's pushing up the percentage of usage 10% higher, and it's causing your GPU to heat up a little bit hotter. When you're playing games, you don't really notice it, but when you get off of your games, it's still running 10% hotter. Well, it is because, for the simple fact, there's a bug out there. So they don't know what the bug is. This is the fix. This is their version of the fix, is to roll back to previous drivers, clean out the old drivers, roll back to the previous driver, and just sit tight, because they're supposed to have a fix coming for it. Okay, well that will be someday, but it's not going to be today. But they do have a fix in the works. See, now AMD's not the only one that's having software issues. Now, as you can see, Nvidia's having software issues too. So, you know what? Don't judge a book by its cover. Okay? I'm not judging AMD. I'm not judging Nvidia. I'm just telling you the facts of what they got going on with their stuff. And a lot of people were telling me about the RTX 4070 Ti. Don't buy it. And they're telling me why. Friends of mine are telling me why, and what they told me was this. They said I would be better to get RTX 3090 if I really want to, do some heavy gaming. They said they told me I'm best off to get the 3090 or the 3090 Ti, to do some heavy gaming if I want to do heavy gaming. If I want to do content creator work, they said, you know what, you're best off, you can get, a 3060 to do content creator work. Okay, they said you can use a 3070, a 3080, a 3090. But, for content creator work, I don't need an expensive, GPU to do the content creator work. Okay, now, as the time that I'm making this video right now, I'm making this video on the Ryzen 5 5600G. Integrated graphics. I'm running integrated graphics. So basically, I have no discrete graphics card yet. I haven't found a good GPU that I want to plug into this system yet. But I'm sure there's a manufacturer out there that wants to plug one into my system and for me to talk about it. That's why there's nothing in the slot, because I haven't seen, something that's good enough for my usage and what I want it to do. Not what the manufacturer wants it to do. You have to get this down very carefully. Okay, it's not what the manufacturer wants it to do. It's what the consumer wants it to do. That's what makes the video card a video card. And that's the reason why there's so many varieties, is because you want it the way you want it to work, not the way somebody else wants it to work. Okay? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I want the video card to operate the way I want it to operate. Not the way Intel, not the way AMD, not the way Nvidia works. I want it to run the way I want it to run. Free of all bull, and to be free to, to basically run at its max. Without it degrading, the GPU, the die. Okay, now the thing is this computer, this processor, this integrated graphic runs at 2300 megahertz continuously. When I boot up this PC, it loads up 2300 megahertz on the GPU and 1600 megahertz on the die, on the memory die. Okay, so when it runs at those speeds 24/7. Now I got the frequency of the CPU at 4200 megahertz continuously. The reason why is because I don't want it floating. I want it to stay level, and I keep it level. That's a good thing. I keep everything level, set, and go. Basically, I got my system where it's plug and play and gone. I don't have to mess with anything in the BIOS. I can be just like an everyday consumer. Don't have to mess with anything in the BIOS. I can run my programs the way I want it and not have all this extra bloatware in the system, which I did take out. I'll keep that for another video on how I took that out. Y'all ain't gonna believe how I took it out. But anyway, we'll talk about it in a later video. But now it runs the way I want it to run. The only problem I see with my computer right now, even though that I built the computer, the only problem I see is with the motherboard. There's a little problem with the motherboard. Asus, I want you to hear me out. The new BIOS update you did for your motherboard has a glitch. Okay, it has a big glitch. It's running the memory out of control. Okay, now the thing is this, with it running the memory out of control, you're making the memory work hotter. So you got a memory glitch on your firmware. Please sort it out before everybody updates to the 3810 revision and they figure out that their RAM is running at 3/4 of the speed or greater. Fix it. Fix it to where, we can roll back the drivers, the firmware drivers, the firmware BIOS drivers. Make it to where we can roll it back to the previous. That's another problem you have, is you locked us out from rolling the drivers back to the previous to fix the problem until you fix your problem with your software, with your firmware. There's another problem. So you got a couple problems on your plate. I hope you see this on my video, and I hope you understand it needs to be corrected. Okay? I'm probably 1 in a million that's complaining about this, but I'm sure there's many out there that are having the same issue as me. But they don't want to talk about it. And they don't want to RMA their boards. They don't want to get into the headache of it. I'm not going to RMA my board because you don't want to let anybody reverse engineer the firmware on their motherboard. It would have been better if you would have left that option open to reverse engineer. And what I mean by reverse engineer, that means rolling back to the previous firmware. Now, if you would have left that unlocked, that would have been a different story. Then I would have rolled back to the previous, and I wouldn't be having this RAM problem right now. It would have been fixed. And you probably saying, well, we looked through it and we didn't find anything. Well, sure, you looked through it and you didn't find anything because you didn't look hard enough. You didn't know which motherboard to get or anything else. You didn't know which motherboard it was being used on. I can tell you it's on the B450, everybody. The B450M/AII motherboard by Asus. That's the current motherboard I run. So, if you got that motherboard, do yourself a favor. Stay away from the 3810 firmware update until they get a bug update fixed. Because it's got a bug and it sucks up 3/4 of your random access memory. Watch yourself. That's all I'm going to tell you. I can't tell you not to install it, but I can tell you what's happening with it right now because it's been installed on my system for a little bit of time, for at least a couple weeks or greater. I didn't start having this memory problem until I did the BIOS update. So, as a content creator, I'm telling you what's going on with my system that's running right now. Okay? So, whatever BIOS update these companies are doing right now are going to have some kind of bugs. Now, this board has been out for a long time. It should not be having these problems. B450's been out for years. Should not be having these problems. That means you got a problem with one of your staff that, kind of did something, a boo-boo that they weren't supposed to do. So, Asus, look into it. I'm just giving you a heads up, or you're going to have more problems than me, which I'm not trying to be a problem, but I'm just letting you know you could have a problem. So, fix it before it gets bad. But anyway, I don't have much more news for you, but what I'm gonna tell you is make sure that if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. We need 1,000 subscribers. We need to get to 4,000 watch hours. What I mean by 4,000 watch hours, that means everybody watching videos from beginning to end, watching all the videos, hopefully all the videos, because I know I got almost I'm getting close to 200 videos. I know I don't have 4,000 or 5,000 or whatever the case is, but I got more videos to come, so do be patient. They will be out there. And don't forget to subscribe if this is your first time here. But anyway, let's go ahead and get out of here till the next time and the next video. This is JJ on JJ's PC Builds. We will see you on the next one.